My son Jonathan has had 3 kidney transplants. He was born with damaged kidneys as a result of an obstruction in his ureter, which led to reflux within the kidneys. And it wasn't until he got home and after 2 weeks roughly that he wasn't well. He was crying a lot and we took him to the doctor 2 or 3 times and they checked his temperature in his groin when we took him back to the doctor, and he had a hernia, pushed from crying, and that saved his life. He was taken straight to hospital. He was there for 2 or 3 months and they put diversionary bags on to bypass the kidneys. So he came home with 2 holes in his side, bags on, urine bags on, and then they reconstructed his ureter, which was a help. But all that time that was going on, he was on a low protein diet because his kidneys couldn't digest the protein. And as a result, when he started to walk, round about 2-year-old, he broke his legs because he had rickets. So he spent most of his early childhood in Barbara Ward in the Royal Victoria Hospital.
I suppose my earliest memories would be from the hospital would be about age 8, and I got a phone call in February 1988, and I had been matched with a kidney from somebody who had unfortunately been killed in a road accident. And unfortunately that kidney only lasted 6 weeks. I never got out of hospital with it, and it ruptured, and again the emergency surgeon had to remove the kidney. The little kidney function that I had got to the point that I required dialysis at the age of 9. I had a further transplant just before my 11th birthday. That transplant lasted until I was 26. In the intervening time, I'd been very, very lucky that I had an excellent quality of life until about 2003, when the kidney began to fail. I went to grammar school and competed in the transplant games and done GCSE, A-levels, went to university, then travelled in Australia and then met my wife. Then when the kidney did fail, I would have to go to the hospital 3 times a week to be dialysed, and that would take almost 6 hours. There's sense of loss behind the two going on dialysis, the loss of the kidney that had went in, the loss of a certain amount of independence with that. My time wasn't always my own now because I had to be in the hospital 3 times a week, and I did feel a sense of restriction to that. But like everything else, it's something to work through and work your life around it. And I did then. I was lucky to get on to the twilight shifts in Daisy Hill Hospital, which meant that I could work during the day and come to the hospital then late in the evening and dialyse. And I suppose that was very much a lifesaver for me, because without the opportunity to continue to work, socialise, and meet people, I would have then quickly became quite isolated and unhappy.
He obviously needed a new kidney because it's not a great prospect for life if you're on dialysis. The long-term prospects aren't great. So his daddy went to give him a kidney April 10 years ago, and was going through the tests and took a heart attack, so he wasn't a candidate for it. Now, he was unlikely to get an outside donor again because he had already had 2 kidney transplants and he'd built up too many antibodies. So Mark, his brother, said he would like to donate one of his kidneys. So went through the various tests, and in January 2011, Mark gave him one of his kidneys, and it has worked ever since.
In many normal living donor to living recipient transplants, they know the kidney will go in. But because I had 2 previous transplants, and numerous surgeries from a young age, there was quite a lot of scar tissue within my body, and they weren't sure whether they could get it transplanted into my body. So they took me down to theatres first. They opened me up and made space around the area that the kidney would go, and then left me under anaesthetic, and then brought my brother down, removed his kidney, and then transplanted the kidney into myself. And I woke then on the morning following surgery, feeling very groggy, but already it was clear from the bloods that were being done that the kidney was kicking in. That was a huge relief both to myself, my wife, family, and of course to Mark. It has brought a massive change to my life and to my wife's life, and we subsequently went on and had the opportunity then to have a baby girl who is now 7 coming, and those were opportunities we may never have had if the transplant didn't happen.